Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody. Um, I'm not doing too much, so I felt like getting on here and making a video. It doesn't really feel much like Christmas for me. Not really doing too much today, not doing anything. Plus, it's like 80 degrees where I'm at, and there's nothing right about that. So, but hopefully everybody's enjoying their Christmas. I just wanted to get on and kind of give an update on some things, just what I've been experiencing. Wanted to kind of go over the Egypt trip just a little bit. There's too much to cover, but um, just to share some main points that kind of came through to me as messages through that trip, um, and how they've been kind of progressing ever since then. On the diabetes front, no real update. I do feel good as far as the amount of insulin that I've been taking recently. It's been improving the past couple weeks compared to this year so far. It's not as good as it was at the end of 2024, when my C-peptide was the highest at that point. But I feel like it's turning around. We'll see. And I'll give updates in the future on that. But just different times of, like, I feel like there's like spurts of insulin production that I'm getting just randomly, which a C-peptide test won't really show, because unless I happen to get a C-peptide test during one of those spurts. But we'll see. We'll see what progress I make there on future tests. But real quick, I just want to kind of revisit the mucus, and I wanted to kind of give a timeline of how much has been coming out of me, because it has really significantly slowed down in 2025. And so I just want to share these files that I have here of all of the pictures that I'll show you here. So as you can see, there are close to 1,800 pictures that I have taken of this mucus ever since the end of 2022. So it's been crazy how much mucus has come out of me. If you haven't seen my previous videos, you might not know what I'm talking about. But so just forewarn you, I just clicked on the first one there. Those pictures will pop up there. So hopefully you're not eating, but there'll be, there might be some gross ones that pop up depending on where I click. But so far in 2025, there's 166 total pictures that I have taken this year. I have has come up this past week, so I've had about 5 extra pictures just in the past week or so. So it seems to be starting, not that much, but it's been happening. And then here in 2024, the total amount is 582. So a lot more in 2024 than 2025. And now if we count up, look at that one. The mucus right there is really clean, and I kind of miss having this mucus come out. It was really a fun experience to be honest. But anyways, in 2023 now, counting these up, there's a lot more. So I'll scroll down here. And yeah, so 963 in 2023. So basically, not exactly, but it was, so 2023 kind of was cut in half in 2024, and then more than cut in half in 2025. So it has been a gradual decline, and then obviously there were some in 2022 that I took here. I won't count those up because I actually know the one that I'm highlighting now is a gross one. I do have that one shared on my website, but that one actually is a picture of some in the spoon, actually, because I was so weirded out by it. That was the very first one, and as you can see, it was November 14th, pretty close to 11 a.m., but that was corresponding to the Reiki / hypnosis type session that I had on November 10th of 2022 with a wonderful facilitator. And after that session, I just had this love pour into me. I've explained this before. It was 5 days of unbelievable, unconditional love that just flowed into my body that I've never felt before. And so, including the day, November 10th, it lasted for 5 days all the way through November 14th. November 14th, it did start to subside a little bit, but that's when that first picture came up, and I first noticed that mucus. So I'll scroll through here a little bit just to show you that these are all pictures of mucus. I'll just randomly click. Hopefully I don't bring up anything too gross. If I'll go back and edit it. If something too gross pops up, I'll just black it out or something. But they're all pretty much the same. Just mucus picture after mucus picture. It's pretty crazy to have this much come out of me. I'm still yet to ever come across any evidence. Look at that. Look at how much that was. Like there's times where like so much came out of me. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know of anybody who's ever experienced this before. I'm not saying that that's the reason why it must mean something, but correlating that with the fact that I started producing insulin is pretty significant coincidence, if that's a word that you want to use. So it's just, it correlates together. It correlates with my C-peptide increase. Now the mucus has subsided a little bit in this year, and C-peptide has kind of hit a wall, really been stuck at the 0.5 level that I've shared. But I think it's just part of the process, and I still have high hopes as far as what's going on, and more than it just being hopes. I'm pretty certain that it's going to happen. I'm just not clear on the timing or exactly how it's going to play out, but I still am very confident in this working out. So just wanted to share that. The other thing, so going back to Egypt, just a couple things that came through on that trip. I know the last video I shared before going to Egypt, I was talking about, I was thanking the females that I've been working with, and this trip also was mostly, there was one other guy on it, and then one other guy joined later in the trip. But it was for the most part all women, and it's so interesting because we all had our healing experience, and it was related. It was very connected to the masculine feminine balancing during this trip, and I think balance is the key word for me, because I was going into it, as I think I explained in my previous video. Before I left for Egypt, at least, that I feel like I may be overdoing the feminine side of things, and I kind of want to get back into that balance, and that was a key area during this trip, and then also this past month after the trip. One thing that came out, and it's weird because there's the things that come out are the things that are special to me, are the things that don't really make sense, as far as like when I feel energy and the significance of something, and just have this such of a strong feeling over something that there's no reason for it to be that strong of a feeling, that stands out to me as meaning something, and I need to pay attention to it. And the instance that I had of that was at one of the temples in Egypt. There was an image, and I'll pull it up here. There's an image of Hathor, goddess, and above her, to the top right of her, there's a Horus. I don't know the terminology. It's like hieroglyphic or something, but it's a image of Horus's name, hieroglyphic, inside a rectangle. And when I went into this room, like I felt like so drawn to that image for whatever reason. And the energy was so strong. And then the tour guide in our group explained that just on his own explained that the fact that Horus was depicted in a rectangle symbolized the feminine protecting the masculine. And I kind of that hit me like so hard. I've always been focused, I don't know, I've always viewed protection coming from the masculine. And I won't go into details of why that hit me so hard, but it did. And it was just different things like that came up throughout the trip. And I could certainly go into detail, but I'll keep some things private. But it was just something that I hadn't really considered as far as the feminine protecting the masculine. But of course, it happens. It's a balance back and forth there. So with that, as far as the balancing, the one interesting example towards the end of the trip when we went to the Sphinx, I was drawn to the right paw of the Sphinx, and this was even before we went on the trip. But we had group meditations, connecting to different energies, and I connected randomly. It just the right paw of the Sphinx dropped into my head during a meditation, one of our group meditations. I knew nothing about the Sphinx. I seriously, it's one of those things. It's kind of nice not knowing anything, to not get it, not to have that knowledge get in the way. And it's also nice to realize after something comes to you like that it ends up being true, and other people have had the same like messages come to them. So I was really connected to the right paw for whatever reason. When that came into me, made no sense to me. I didn't understand anything about that, and it turns out there are people who say that the right paw of the Sphinx carries like a library underneath of knowledge, possibly a portal. That said, most people in my group were gravitated to the left paw and said the same thing about the left paw. And it's not like we were arguing saying, oh no, it's the right, no, it's the left. It was just some people, most of the women in our group were gravitated to the left paw. I was gravitated towards the right paw. And when I got there, it was just this overwhelming, immediate understanding that it was both. I was still gravitating towards the right paw, just being there, but it was both. It was a shared masculine feminine connection. The right side of the body is masculine, the left side is feminine. And one interesting thing is, when our group, I kind of was off on my own for a lot of this, and I kind of missed out on some of the meditations, but the group was in between the paws, and I was just kind of wandering around. And one of the women in the group randomly came up to me and said she needed to hold my arm, and we stood in between the paws looking at the Sphinx, and she was holding my right arm with her left arm. We just kind of connected there, and she just felt her intuition told her that she needed to do that. And so we stood there for a while, and then without speaking anything, and then she said thanks, or I don't know if she said thanks, she just kind of tapped me and then walked away. And with no words, we both split, and I was already on the right side of the Sphinx because we were facing it. I went directly to the right paw, she went right to the left paw, and we both placed our hands on the paws. And I don't think she realized that she did it, because I asked her about it afterwards, like, did you, like, I don't know if she necessarily realized that we both did that at the same exact time. I wasn't thinking about it. I just, when we split, I just went there and she went there, and we both put our hands on the opposite paws. And so, she went to the left paw, I went to the right paw, And again, it was just this working together of masculine and feminine. It was really so. And the thing is, when I later talked to her, she felt this huge need to do that, but then said that she didn't end up feeling anything too strong after doing it, but it activated me big time. Like, I felt something huge when she did that. So whatever told her to do it was very helpful for me, and it activated me big time. So there was just a lot of working between the masculine and feminine on this trip, and a lot of balancing there. But again, I stated before that I feel like I'm overdoing it on the feminine, and there was one time we pick an oracle card every day on the trip, and halfway through the trip, mine was a warrior woman, and all of the cards were great. They were all perfect for the exact thing that I was going through at that moment on the trip. But that one triggered the hell out of me, and I understand. Of course, I understand feminine energy and all that, and we all have both. But picking the warrior woman card really got me for some reason. So, but it was meant to. But I don't know where I was going with that. But I even brought it up in our group, just because I felt like I needed to talk about it. But I don't know where I was going. But but it's funny because I disliked that card the most, but it was the most influential for me on that trip. So what else? I'm just kind of randomly bringing up things here. Overall, the Nile was great. The one thing, so this was a pretty organized trip, and we didn't have much free time, which isn't my thing. I kind of like to have my free time, but considering the people, it was great to have kind of an organized thing and to spend time with them. But we were originally supposed to have a free day, and the only thing I wanted to do on that free day was go into the Nile, was jump in the Nile. Everything I read going up to it, though, said don't do it, based on, there's parasites and crocodiles, and everything was saying do not go into the Nile. But I didn't care. I was going to use that free day to get into the Nile. The day before, though, things got delayed, and we ended up, I think it was originally maybe we were gonna have like a half a free day or something, and then one of our temple visits got rescheduled to that day, so it wasn't much of a free day going up to it. But the night before, during dinner, I was talking to the tour guide, and he was a really spiritual, unbelievably knowledgeable. It's amazing what he knew. I can't retain much of anything that he said, but he was very knowledgeable. But he was a great tour guide because he's also really, really spiritual. And we were asking him questions about just different groups that he's taken, like what type of thing, like anything weird that they've done. And he talked about recently it's been a thing to get yourself buried in the sand near the Nile, like it's very hot sand, and then afterwards jumping in the Nile. But that wasn't scheduled for us. But he kind of had this hookup to, like, he had this local tribe that he was able to call up, and he ended up scheduling that the next day. So we got buried in the sand, and right afterwards we jumped into the Nile. Maybe I'll share a couple pictures here. But that was amazing. I just have such a strong connection with water, and that grew on this trip, specifically with the Nile. The funny thing is, I know there's the whole ancient Egypt story with the flooding of the Nile. My experience, I think the first half of the trip, 6 or 7 days of the trip, I flooded badly every single bathroom I had in my hotels, and I don't know. I mean, I know how, but there was a different issue with each bathroom, but I flooded every single bathroom I had for the first half of the trip, until we got onto the Nile cruise. Flooded that the entire time, but once we got off the Nile cruise, then I finally stopped flooding bathrooms. So I don't know what significance that has, but I thought it was funny. So there's that. What else we got? Oh, the last thing this is just kind of random. This is something new that I've been doing ever since I got back. And so I had mentioned my tightness in my back and how it kind of went away after I got a comment. It actually inflamed my back big time, and then after that, it cleared up completely. It started to get tight leading up to the trip, and I had mentioned it on a call, on one of our group calls leading up to the trip. And one of the people in the group is a massage therapist, and since I said that, she had brought one of these cups to the trip just to possibly just to use it on me or give it to me so I could do it on myself. And I've gotten cupping done when I get massages here and there, but it's only once every couple months maybe. And it's always helped, but I've never considered just doing it myself. I don't know why, but one of the temples actually showed a graphic of the cups because it was a very useful healing practice that the ancient Egyptians used as well. So I'll show that picture, but it's a picture of glass cups that you heat up, not these like suction ones that I'm using. But back to the whole balance part of it. Getting back to so she showed me how to do it to myself and showed me like key points to put it on, and so I've been doing that ever since. And I've been focusing on my right side because that's the more inflamed side. But then, like a couple of weeks ago, I just figured I should do a balance, do it on my left side too. And it like paralyzed me for 2 days. I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed. It hurt so much. It was so bad. It was so painful. But after those couple of days, it really, 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 it must have released something because it feels amazing right now. So there's something to the cupping. I always knew that there was, but it took this trip and it took that communication with her just to kind of do this, and I'm doing this regularly now. So I recommend it. Although be careful, because what I did, I put it on the same spots on my left side that I had been on my right. I've never experienced that much pain in my back before. I could not move. I couldn't get out of bed for like a couple hours, and I had to like force myself while yelling to do it. It was really, really painful. So it must have released something, hopefully. As I'm doing it, the spots that it leaves are not as bad. They're pretty strong, pretty red at the start, but it kind of fades over time as you clear that up. Just kind of lifts the fascia up and pulls in the toxin, pulls out the toxins, I guess. I don't know. You do research on that. Interestingly though, I have a little pain in both shoulders, like at the bony part. Seems like a weird spot. And I just did that. I just did those. Let me look how purple that is. So this to me shows that there was a lot of toxins in there that got pulled up. So I just did this yesterday, and it was like it was worse than that. But this is I doing it on my back or my neck. I've never gotten a spot that purple, and it was worse yesterday. It was crazy. So it feels good though. It doesn't hurt as much as that the time that I did my left side of my back. But it's interesting though, because those two spots, it's on both shoulders, the same color. I just have weird pain just right at the bony part. If I like lift my, sorry for the wet armpits there. If I lift my shoulders up, So hopefully that clears something up. And the last thing I'll say about the balance and going from the right left side physically and balancing your masculine feminine. I got these little wooden Ankh things. I think they're sandalwood. I don't know. They smell good. Whatever type of wood it is. And before I even did the left side, I think it was around the same time. I had put I got a few of them, but I put one on my shelf in my room, and it fell over, and one of the sides, the cross arms broke off, and the immediate message I got was balance or rebalance yourself. So it's just another small message that I got in a different way for me. So that's that. Hopefully I made some sort of sense. I don't think I have much else to say. That's it. Yeah, it was a great trip. Maybe more things will come to me and I'll share. But I do, I guess, want to share at some point the recent things I've been seeing with my diabetes as far as the positive, but it's just things that I've noticed as far as not having to take much insulin later in the day compared to the morning, which is common, but I'm talking like not having to take hardly any insulin at all. Like I take my last shot at early afternoon before 2 p.m. and don't have to take anything until the next morning. Even if I do eat some carbs later in the evening. So I don't know. I'm just noticing things like that. But ultimately, I'll have to take a C-peptide test and at some point and actually show those results to show proof of that. But I feel like it's gonna start looking pretty good. So yep. Hope everyone's doing well and hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas and has a great New Year. All right. Thanks. See ya.